Want to bring in our buddy Brett Goode. Henderson Phillips Employer Solutions is where he's at. Former Razorback Green Bay Packer joins us now. Brett, good morning. It's camp week. I know the camps have been underway for a little bit in the NFL. I saw there's a big fight with the Giants yesterday that Joe Judge wasn't happy about. And Aaron Rodgers is back in the fold. In fact, I want to play this for you because I'm sure you've heard about this a little bit. Aaron Rodgers and what he had to say last week.
The way that some of the outgoing veterans were treated, and just the fact that we didn't retain a number of players that I felt like were core players to our foundation, our locker room, high character guys. I'm talking about Charles Woodson, Jordy Nelson, Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews, Randall Cobb, James Jones, John Kuhn, Brett Goode, TJ Lang, Brian Balaga, Casey Hayward, Micah Hyde, guys.
I've heard enough. High character guys like Brett Goode.
There you go.
I mean, that's high praise there, my man.
It's definitely an honor to be mentioned in that group of men, and I certainly see where he's coming from. You know, the thing that I've always said about myself personally is, you know, I never got the chance to actually go out there and compete. I didn't lose my job through competition. I lost it through age and injury, and so you always have that kind of silver lining that you wish you had a chance to go out there and show that. And I think that you go down that list of guys. There's a lot of guys that got older and got injured, and a lot of guys that were taking less money to play there.
Would you have rather him say high character or great athlete? Because he didn't say great athlete.
Well, but he also included me with the Hall of Famer and Charles Woodson, so I'm all in that same boat. I'm good with it.
That's a good list. That's a good list to be on. Speaking of Charles Woodson, the Hall of Fame is this weekend. Maybe we'll talk about that. Let's talk about Cam. Let's start a little bit with the NFL, and then we'll work our way back to Arkansas, because I know that's the conversation a lot of us want to have. Hall of Fame game is tomorrow. Cowboys, Steelers. I think Dak's not going to play from what the reports are. Hall of Fame enshrinements are Saturday and Sunday. What are you seeing out of these camps? I mentioned the fight with the Giants. There's some injuries going on with the Eagles, and then Carson Wentz with the Colts. What's some of your takeaways here early on in these NFL camps that are a week or more in at this point?
Well, we're still fighting that COVID bug. I know the Vikings had 3 of their quarterbacks out the other day with close contact. One of them tested positive. They had to fight as well as the Giants. The Giants, you know, there's fights at every training camp. If you're not having a fight, the guys aren't competing, but you don't ever get your quarterback involved in that. That's why he wears that red jersey, because he's not to be touched. So I think right now with the guys, what they're trying to do is figure out who's going to be healthy, who's going to come off the PUP list. As we get closer to the season, I know the Packers have the line, you know, David Bakhtiari and a couple of guys, and there's been some other injuries of guys coming in from the offseason that they're going to be on the PUP list. And so everybody's kind of taking their strides. We're just now, for most camps, getting into the full pads, and that's where the competition kind of picks up into, and that's going to be the same thing for Arkansas. The first couple of days are all fine and dandy, but once they put those pads on there, the competition comes out, and that's when jobs are won and lost.
And, you know, Brett, one thing that's trickled down from the pros is I believe they're going to have fewer padded practices in college like they have been for some time now in the NFL. Well, how does that impact? It seems to me that maybe the first month the tackling isn't as well or as good or as crisp in the college game as we've seen in the pro. What have you observed with the way NFL training camp's been for the last few years and its impact early on in the year?
Well, luckily we get the preseason games, so you get a lot of young guys that get those tackling drills. A lot of the veterans are used to it and have kind of built in that baseline that they know how to handle it in practice, because you don't get to tackle in practice in the NFL ever. You know, very rarely, maybe on a scrimmage. So you've got to just take your P's and Q's. They've got to go through the tackling drills and take those serious, because every team's doing those tackling drills. You'll see those donuts rolling across the field where guys are kind of tracking them, and they'll run and tackle it, and they've really got to focus in and not just take those drills lightly. They've got to go full out. And the NFL has preseason. The college doesn't. So you've got to get out there and make it happen week 1 in college. And so it's going to be a transition. Unfortunately, you know, when the pads aren't on as often, it's a lot harder for some of the younger guys to win some jobs. But as the season progresses, you might see some of those guys win them through injuries or through practice.
Brett Goode, Henderson Phillips Employer Solutions, with us every Wednesday here on the Morning Rush. It's a What's Your Beef Wednesday. Derek Ruskin sitting in with me. I'm Tommy Kraft. Speaking of camps opening, Arkansas begins Friday. Their first of 25 practices. We're exactly a month out. It's August 4th today. The first game is September 4th against Rice. What are some of your memories of those camps you had with Houston Nutt and the beginning of those camps? They were much different back then compared to, Derek was mentioning the rules and some of the things trickling down. It will be practice number 6 before full pads come on. There's some days off built in. What are some of your memories of those camps back in your playing days at Arkansas?
It's a lot different than the old two-a-days that we used to have, and we were dying out there in the Arkansas heat. There's a lot of excitement. You got the veterans coming in; they know what's at stake. You got, which is new for everybody across the board. You've got your super seniors coming in, and they really know what's at stake. They're coming back to try and win. And then you've got the excitement of all the young guys. They're excited. The fans are going to be out now. There's going to be people watching practices. There's going to be a lot of an exciting environment around. If you see it like NFL camps around, that's all they're talking about is the fans. They love having the fans back, and it's going to be the same way for Arkansas. Arkansas fans have been missing this football team, and I think you're really going to see a lot of support behind them, and I think that's just going to make the excitement grow. And the guys just got to go out there and play football. You're here for a reason. You know what you're doing. There's nothing different. Just learn, and that's what the biggest thing that you can do. You're always learning and trying to educate yourself more on the football field, and I think it's going to help the team just continue to grow.
Let's talk about special teams because they've got to have a lot of improvement this year. It was a real Achilles heel of the team last year. How do you find more time in camp? What will this team do different? I know you've had some conversations with Scott Fountain and others on this coaching staff. What does this team need to do differently in setting up practices and schedules to ensure they have enough time to work on special teams in fall camp?
Well, the hardest part is when you talk about special teams is covering kickoffs and covering punts. And when you don't have numbers, it's hard to do that. You can't just go out there and run and cover 16 kickoffs and 16 punts. You start killing some guys, and you start having some guys, pop their hamstrings and have a lot of injuries. And so they've got to be very careful. You've got to have guys commit. Hopefully the super senior group will make the guys commit a little bit more because they've got to realize that, hey, this is a third of the game. We've lost games due to our special teams, and we don't need the special teams to be that way. We need, if you look across the league, look at Alabama last year. Alabama punt returns, they had a Heisman Trophy winner, returning punt. So you've got to get out there, you've got to compete, and you've got to put it all in. Guys have got to want to play special teams. And if they ever want to have a career in the NFL, unless you're a top 5 pick, you're going to play special teams in the NFL moving forward because only 46 people dress on Sunday. So now's as good a time as ever to get out there and kind of show what you can do.
Brett, there's some new position coaches. The coordinators are the same, but they've moved around some position coaches. How long does that kind of adjustment phase take for when training camp starts?
I think it's already happened. I think that they've had time to communicate and talk to the guys. I think that's one thing that Coach Pittman has brought to this group is communication. I think that you can hear that through the players and through the other coaches that there's a lot of communication going on, and that's the best thing to help any of these transitions and switches and everything else. Guys coming in new, even Dow Loggins coming in not too long ago. When we talked about it, he's a great fit for the program, and he's going to communicate well to these guys, and he's got a great background of experience in the NFL. The same thing, those NFL locker rooms are constantly changing, and unfortunately, with all this transfer portal and NIL, these college locker rooms are going to start transferring, changing on the football side as well. So it's just communicate with your brother and your teammates, and move forward the best way that you can.
Were y'all there all summer long? It's been 15 or so years ago when you played, but were y'all there all summer long then, or when? I'm trying to get a kind of a feel for when that truly took hold, that you just didn't leave for the summer.
Well, so my first year, I was taking some classes at UAFS, trying to get in, to make sure that I got into the school and get admitted. But once I made the 105, then moving forward there year round, you were there. I got a job for First Security Bank, being a maintenance guy, and during the summer, and you were just always there working out and trying to keep that going with your teammates, because football is it's a year-round sport. It's turned into it, especially on the higher levels, and you have to be committed. So we were there. We had a good group of seniors, especially my last year going into that, that were committed to it.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, they always had the video. Derek, you remember this, where players would report they were fitting them with helmets, and they had that little blow-up, that bubbled thing. They'd blow their helmets up, and he's getting pads, and you're going into the equipment. That's just not a thing anymore, because players had reported back, months ago. The freshmen came on campus as soon as high school was over. So it's just I was just trying to get a better feel by asking you, Brett, on kind of when that kind of truly took hold. So, all right, a couple other things before we go. Running, I think there's a lot of questions about some things. And I think there's some areas there's not. talk about Traylon Burks, and I know there's a lot of conversation around quarterback. I think one of the interesting things is the running back situation. I think we all know we can count on Traylon Smith to be right there, an integral part of that. What's your read on the running back situation, who the number 2 and 3 backs might be? Is Hammond's going to finally have that breakout year? Is the freshman and Rocket Sanders going to be the guys, or someone else you see in this mix? Because there's about 6 guys back there that are going to be vying for those jobs. And I'd say Smith is right now, Traylon Smith is the only, what I'd say is lock at running back.
I agree with you. I think he's the only one locked in. And honestly, I can't make up my mind until we really get the pads on. I know we had, spring football, but now is when the competition comes out, and you want to see a lot of the guys talking about it. You want to see them kind of talking about them coming out of the backfield and making a catch or coming out and making a block. That's going to be the key is, really being able to block. That third down back, when you can get in there and your quarterback can stand in there knowing that you're going to pick up that blitz and stick your head in there. Those are keys. And you can see, even to a guy, switching back to the NFL real quick, that people are complaining about Tim Tebow. He went out the other day and kind of ducked his head and missed a block. And as a tight end, you can't do that. And that's the same thing as a running back. So when you're kind of getting into those third down situations, you got to be able to be committed to hitting that block and sticking your head in there and protect your teammate. And so now as we move forward, and we can see a lot more of those guys come out there and who really wants to take over that job.
All right, Brett Goode, he's on the team at Henderson Phillips Employer Solutions. We remind you every week, if you're the person at your company that reviews and looks at employee benefit plans, whether it's the health insurance, the dental, the vision, or life insurance for the entire group or individuals, or maybe you're in charge of commercial or insurance needs, or maybe you're just driving this morning thinking, my home and auto insurance is just too high. I need a new and better quote. Brett, you're the guy to call, 479-651-2292. I know you're working closely with a lot of companies in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley to get better deals on health insurance for their employees, better retirement plans, better total benefits packages, which are very important in today's marketplace.
Oh, that's absolutely right. We got clients all the way out in Florida now, and you have to get employees to stay. You've got to get them committed to you, and the best way that we've seen a lot of people is looking at everything that you can offer them and to retain the good employees and also bring on new ones. So we'd love to take a look at you and see if you're hitting the markets the way you need to and see if you're complying on everything that you need to do for your business moving forward.
All right, 651-2292. That's direct to you, right?
That's direct to me. You can call or text me anytime.
Just like the radio show. Call or text. Yeah, there you go. 651.
Makes it easy.
Makes it easy. 2292. You get an extra discount at 2 in the morning, right? Just like
That's
Jake.
right. That's right. Especially if I answer.
Yeah. 651-2292. Brett Goode, Henderson Phillips. All right, we'll talk next week. Let's get some golf in soon.
All right, sounds good.
Brett Goode with us here.